My name is Gina Aubrey. I am 40 years old. I have spent 11 years as a paralegal reading contracts, depositions, and court filings. None of that prepared me for what my sister did to my 21-year-old daughter. She called it a family meeting. She told Sophie it was about healing, about closure. But when Sophie walked into my mother's living room that Saturday afternoon, there were no casseroles on the counter and no tissues on the table. There was a lawyer in a gray vest, a stack of documents, and 3 adults staring at a young woman who came alone. My sister made one mistake. She thought I would not find out until it was too late. She was wrong. Welcome back to Revenge Finally Stories, where real family betrayals unfold, and the people who stayed quiet the longest are usually the ones who prepared the hardest. If that hits close to home, drop a comment and subscribe. This one matters. My mother, Ruth Aubrey, lived in a small yellow house on Maple Drive in Millbrook, Ohio. Retired schoolteacher. Garden mystery novels, lemon bars for every neighbor on the block. She had 2 daughters. Deborah, the eldest, was 45. I was 5 years younger, the quiet one always. Growing up, Deborah had the charm. I had the patience. I thought that was just something mothers say to balance the scales. I was wrong about that too. When Mom's health started to decline, it was not Deborah who showed up with groceries at 7 in the morning. My daughter Sophie moved in 2 years before Mom died. She was 19, halfway through nursing school. She cooked every night. She drove Mom to every appointment. When Mom had bad nights, Sophie slept in the chair beside her. Deborah visited 3 times in 2 years. Each time, she glanced around the house like she was appraising it and asked about the finances. She never once asked how Mom was feeling. Mom died on a Tuesday in January. Pancreatic. The hospice nurse said she went peacefully. I do not think anyone who watched their mother's breathing slow to nothing would use that word. The will was read the following Thursday. The house on Maple Drive and all savings accounts, $240,000, went to Sophie Marie Aubrey. There was one line underneath I will never forget. To my granddaughter Sophie, who was here when it mattered. Deborah did not cry. She did not shout. She sat perfectly still, hands flat on her thighs, jaw tight. Then she stood up, buttoned her coat, and walked out without looking at either of us. That silence lasted 48 hours. She called me that Thursday evening. Gina, it is not fair. Mom was not thinking clearly. Sophie had influence. This should have been split between us. I could hear Ray in the background, his voice low and steady, feeding her lines. I told her the will was valid. She hung up. 2 hours later, Sophie called. Aunt Deborah says Grandma was confused. She says I need to do the right thing. I sat in the dark a long time after that. I had read enough legal disputes to recognize when someone was building a case. Monday morning, I walked into the office of Robert Webb, senior estate attorney, and the closest thing I had to a mentor. I told him everything. He listened, then said, "The will is clean. It stands. She is not going to court, Robert. She is going to pressure Sophie until Sophie caves." He nodded. That is the more common play. I asked him to represent Sophie officially. He agreed, and suggested a bank audit of Mom's accounts. 2 weeks later, the results came back. 6 withdrawals. 8 months. $15,000 total. All while Mom was in hospice or too weak to leave the house. 3 withdrawal slips carried her signature. Or something close to it. I had seen Mom's handwriting my entire life. Narrow cursive, tilting slightly right. These signatures were too upright. Too deliberate. The strokes were thick, like someone pressing hard to imitate a hand that no longer had strength. The last withdrawal was 9 days before she died. I sat in Robert's office and felt the floor tilt. Not because I was surprised, because I had suspected it for months. Now I was holding the proof. Deborah worked the phones like a campaign manager. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Her version. Sophie had manipulated their elderly grandmother. Gina was backing it up to funnel money through her daughter. By the end of week 2, my phone had gone mostly silent. Then she showed up at Sophie's campus. Sophie came home with red eyes and a voice that cracked on every word. She was in the parking lot, Mom. She said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You took what belongs to me." That night, Sophie pushed her fork around a plate of leftover pasta and said quietly, "Maybe I should just give it to her. If it makes her stop." I set down my glass. "No, you are not signing anything. Grandma left this to you because she wanted you to have it. Not because she forgot about Deborah, because she remembered everything Deborah did and still chose you. I am going to fix this. But I need you to trust me." She nodded. "I trust you." "Good. Now eat your pasta." She almost smiled. That was enough. 2 days before the Saturday meeting, Sophie found something hidden beneath the velvet lining of Mom's cedar jewelry box. A letter. 2 pages. Yellow legal paper, blue ink. Narrow cursive tilting slightly right. Dear Sophie, if you are reading this, the will has been read and Deborah is angry. I know because I know my daughter. Mom had written it all down. $80,000 borrowed over 15 years, never repaid. Unauthorized withdrawals while she was hospitalized. I know who. I did not confront her because I did not have the strength for that fight. But I changed my will because love should not be a debt someone collects on. The last line, show this to your mother. She will know what to do. I folded the letter, put it in my briefcase, and started preparing. Saturday. Sophie wore a white blouse, dark slacks, and Mom's pearl brooch pinned at her collar. She went in first. I parked 2 blocks east, out of sight. Robert was 1 block north, engine off, phone in hand. At 1:58, Sophie texted. There is a man I do not know. Gray vest. Briefcase. Dining table. Do not sign anything. I am close. Inside, Deborah sat composed on the couch, rehearsed. Ray stood at the window, arms crossed. Brenda settled in the recliner with a face that had already decided who was guilty. At the dining table, Neil Pratt, a general practice lawyer, friend of Ray's, sliding a document toward my daughter. Voluntary relinquishment of your rights to the estate assets. 2 pages. Signature on the last line. We can have this resolved in 5 minutes. Sophie picked it up. Read it. Set it down. I need to read this with my own attorney. There is no need for that. This is a simple family agreement. I said I need to read it with my own attorney. 3 adults staring at a 21-year-old girl. The same girl who had cooked dinner every night for 2 years and slept in a chair beside her dying grandmother. They looked at her like she was the problem. Then I walked in. Sorry I am late. This is a family meeting, Gina. You were not invited. My daughter was. I put my hand on Sophie's shoulder. She exhaled. I felt it through her blouse. Ma'am, this is a private discussion. A private discussion with a lawyer present, a legal document on the table, and no independent counsel for the signatory. That is not a discussion. That is a pressure campaign. I sat on the arm of Sophie's chair. Did not open the briefcase. Not yet. Who wants to start? Then Ellen walked in, invited under the pretense of pot roast and old photos. She saw the lawyer. She saw the document. Nobody told me there would be lawyers here. I texted Robert 1 word, now. 90 seconds later, 3 firm knocks. Robert Webb stood on the porch in a charcoal suit, 6'2", gray at the temples, with the kind of face that makes courtrooms go quiet. Funny. She brought someone too. He set his briefcase on the dining table beside Neil's folder. Robert Webb, Estate Law. I represent Sophie Aubrey in all matters related to the Ruth Aubrey estate. Neil's face went white. This document has no legal standing. I advise my client not to sign or acknowledge it. The will of Ruth Eleanor Aubrey is certified by Trumbull County Probate Court. It is final. Sophie Aubrey is the sole beneficiary. That is not a suggestion. That is a court-certified fact. Neil quietly gathered his papers and left. 30 seconds. I reached down and opened my briefcase. 6 withdrawals. $15,000. All withdrawn while Mom was in hospice or too ill to leave the house. 3 withdrawal slips carry a signature the forensic examiner says is inconsistent with Ruth Aubrey's known handwriting. Mom's hand was weak. These were written by someone whose hand was not. Then I held up the letter. Mom wrote this and hid it in her cedar jewelry box. I read only the parts that mattered. Deborah borrowed $80,000 from me over 15 years. She never paid back a single dollar. When I was hospitalized last March, someone took money from my account. I know who, but I changed my will, because love should not be a debt someone collects on. Ellen's hand went over her mouth. Brenda stared at the floor. Robert stepped forward. Forgery of a signature on a financial document is a felony in the state of Ohio. We have not filed a criminal referral. Whether we do depends on what happens next. Deborah slammed her palm on the table. You have no right. She was my mother. She was mine, too. And she made her choice. Then her voice broke. She sat down, not on the couch, on the floor. Ray left me. I am 3 months behind on the mortgage. I needed that money, Gina. I have nothing. For a moment I saw her clearly. Just Deborah. Scared. Broke. Alone. And then I remembered the signatures. You could have called me and said you were struggling. Instead, you forged Mom's name while she was dying. You showed up at Sophie's school and called her a thief. You organized this meeting to ambush a 21-year-old girl into signing away her future. That was your choice. Not mine. Ellen looked at Deborah on the floor, then at me. I came here because she told me Sophie was greedy. I see now who was greedy. Brenda stood and walked out without a word. The screen door clapped shut. I put my hand on Sophie's shoulder. She rose from the chair. Let's go home. Sophie paused at the door. She touched the pearl brooch at her collar and walked out. Some things do not need words. 3 weeks later, Sophie finalized the estate transfer. Robert sent Deborah a formal letter. Return the $15,000 within 30 days, or the matter goes to the county prosecutor. She wired it back at 10. No call. No message. Just a bank transfer on a Tuesday afternoon. Sophie moved into the house in April. She kept Mom's furniture. Turned Mom's bedroom into a reading room, new shelves, a warm lamp, a chair by the window. She placed the cedar jewelry box on the top shelf, beside a framed photograph of Mom at the kitchen table, mid-laugh, flower on her apron. Here is what I learned. You do not have to shout to be heard. You do not have to fight to win. Sometimes all it takes is the right documents, the right timing, and the willingness to stand between your child and anyone who would take from her what she earned. Patience is not a weakness. Preparation is not revenge. And protecting your family is not something you ever need to apologize for. If this story reminded you that quiet people are often the most prepared, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needed to hear it today. Drop a comment. Have you ever had to protect someone you love from the people who should have loved them too? I read every one. See you in the next story.